Hello, everybody. We've got a ton of people in here already. Welcome to the channel. We're a little bit later than normal this evening, but that's okay. We had a basketball game. So, my name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host, and this is Hillbilly Crime. It was a little bit late in the evening for Sweet Tater to join us, so we don't have her this evening, but that's okay. We're going to get through it just fine. How is everybody this evening? We had our 8th grade night tonight, too, but both mine are in 6th and 7th, so. Will his hearing be streaming anywhere? Well, we sure hope so. All of the hearings so far have been live streamed. So his next court date is a status hearing, and that is going to be tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. So we will definitely be streaming that as long as they have it live. We'll get in there and have one in the morning. Have us a show. Oh, I love when Elizabeth and other channels do later night lives. Well, good. Good. I need that kind of feedback. So y'all don't be shy. Give me some feedback. It's like, yes. So there is a new update with the wrong address search warrant case with Doug Harless. So we will look at that this evening too. What is a status hearing and when will it be? It's going to be in the morning at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So I don't know what that comes out to at your house. You'll just have to do the math on your own. Now, a status hearing, I've heard it called a status conference, and I think before, I don't know if that's the same thing as a status hearing, but I think it's just for them to look at the case and see where the defense and the prosecution are really at. And let's see, a status hearing in Kentucky definition. And we'll see. All right, it says a status hearing in Kentucky is a court appearance that allows the judge to check in on the progress of a criminal case. That's what I thought. It's also known as a pretrial conference. The purpose for a status hearing is to determine if a case will go to trial. I told you, didn't I? I've said it from the beginning. This case might not even go to trial. I don't think Jackie Steele, the way that he has spoken out so far, at the very beginning when this happened, I've got an interview with him and we're going to watch it. He was a little bit more, I don't even know what word to use, something about prosecuting and having this as a trial. But the more and more that it's went on, I get the impression, and this is just me, but I get the impression that they're looking to plead this case. And I say that for 2 reasons. Number one, it allows them to negotiate a sentence for Mickey that would be a whole lot lower than life in prison, because there's no way they'll even put the death penalty up here on this case. Just no way. But that, and it also, if they plead this case, then none of this other corruption, none of it will come out. Nothing. So I think that there's a very high probability that they're going to end up trying to negotiate a plea bargain. That's what I think. I'll be shocked if it goes all the way to trial. And that's the only way that we're ever going to really know anything, is if it goes to trial. If they get that discovery and then they're able to bring out what was found in phone records and stuff like that. There are ways, and remember, I'm not a lawyer, but there are ways that lawyers can get certain things in front of juries. I heard one of them saying it the other night. He said they can ask a question, and then if the other side objects or whatever, then he can just withdraw the question. They do things like that. That's how they get around some of the rules. Once they've put it out there, they can withdraw the question from the record, but the jury can't unhear that. So there's lots of ways. And remember, jury nullification would go right out the window, because if they negotiate a plea. All right, looks like it's going to be 10 p.m. Yeah, we had 8th grade night and 2 basketball games. Yes. We were on Surviving the Survivor the other night. If anybody missed that, it's in playlist in our stuff, so go check that out. That was so much fun. We were supposed to also do a guest appearance on Court TV that same night, but something got lost in translation, and I didn't get the memo that they were rescheduling it. So we will be on Court TV. I think it's going to be at the beginning of next week. So when they get the exact day to me, I'll let y'all know. But so that's coming up. That's exciting. Hey, y'all, my first live. So excited. Welcome to the channel. Tennis Girl 101. Extreme Blonde. How is everybody this evening? Mommy's doing just fine. I called her right before we went on, and she said she was just too tired. She had already laid down and had her critters all up around her. So I said that was fine, and we'll get up with her tomorrow. There we go. We'll be approximately 1:30 p.m. in Australia. Interesting. Oh, you guys are welcome. Thank y'all for watching, because we sure wouldn't have a channel if y'all didn't watch. All right. So we've got plenty of comments already, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up a couple of these. We are going to look at a couple old interviews with Mickey, so you guys can kind of get a look at his personality and how he speaks and stuff like that. And I wanted to ask you all what you think of the difference between these interviews that he did as sheriff and the way that we saw him in the body cam footage after the incident at the courthouse. So let me pull this first one up. It was an interview that he did.
After 3 drug-related arrests on Thursday, Letcher County sheriffs were able to remove over 15 grams of meth from the streets. Friday, Mountaintop spoke with Sheriff Mickey Stines about their efforts.
So basically, we received a call from Whitesburg ARH that they had found what they believed to be meth. And I sent up a couple of deputies, and a deputy that comes on duty at 4 also followed up. They went up and done an investigation and found that it was meth. And through their investigation, we have charged a Lola Craft. While Deputies were on the scene investigating the complaint. A Keystone Craft was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct second degree, menacing, assault third on a police officer, and resisting arrest.
During the investigation, deputies Stambo, Norris, and Whitaker were able to arrest and charge 63-year-old Lola Craft of Neon with possession of a controlled substance and terroristic threatening. Also arrested was 18-year-old Keystone Craft, who was charged with resisting arrest, assault on a police officer, and disorderly conduct.
I know Keystone. I know Lola too. I didn't know they were in this one. Bless their little hearts. Keystone's papa came to my church for a very, very long, well, he came to my church as long as he was on probation. And as soon as he, the day he got off probation and he no longer had that, that rug test, you know, that he had to pass to stay out. As soon as he got off probation, he fell back. And poor Keystone has really, really had a time. But I guess he's probably in his young, early 20s now. And I hope he's doing well. All we can do is pray for him, though. So if you pray for this little feller. He sure needs all the prayers he can get.
Included in the arrest from Thursday, during a traffic stop, Deputy Norris arrested 48-year-old Tom Blair on drug charges as well.
Blair was stopped by Deputy James Norris yesterday evening. Once he done his investigation, he found Mr. Tom Blair in possession of 14 grams of meth, where he's charged him in trafficking and controlled substance first degree, a set of scales, empty baggies that was not used to process meth later and transfer and sell. He had 2 different baggies, but it was a total of about 14 grams of meth. He had drug paraphernalia. He didn't have his license in possession, and he had no registration plates.
With 3 more arrests under the department's belt, Stines says he's proud of his deputies' efforts.
Oh, it's fantastic, man. It's a pat on the back to my deputies. Not me. It's them. They're out there every day in the front lines fighting this battle. It's just amazing that, you know, if you're not in it every day, you don't really see the issues that we have here local and through the whole state and whole nation. But, you know, when you're hands-on with it every day, it makes me proud. It makes me proud of them, you know, the job they're doing, and just, you know, they're saving lives. You know, these 3 individuals are probably upset and mad at us, and I can't blame them. You know, we're all humans, and I wouldn't want to be in jail either, but don't violate the law. You know, we have saved lives, and the deputies have saved lives by making that arrest. I mean, 14 grams of meth. What if one of those grams would have potentially caused somebody to overdose and die?
For Mountaintop News.
What'd y'all think? It breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart to watch him there. I can't imagine what their families are going through. Mickey's family and the judge's family. I think it is just so sad. But what did you all think about the way that he talked? And you can tell he's just an old country boy, number one. I don't know how much education Mickey has. I have no clue. I have no idea if he has a college diploma. I have no idea of any of that. Would Mickey take a plea? That's a good question. Would he? Well, if they offered him 15 years, or even if they offered him 20 years, you got to think about how old he is. Number one, he's in his early 40s, mid 40s, 43 or 45, I think, something they said. And so if he got 15 years, if he took 15 years in a plea, he'd be out in no time. He wouldn't serve 10 of it, and they'd probably let him out on parole. I just don't know, y'all. Just don't know. I think prosecutors want plea, but I think defense wants a trial. But we shall see. Remember, they want the trial. The defense wants the trial in Letcher County. And, you know, somebody mentioned something to me today. They said that they also had heard that Mickey was a Mason. I don't know anything about that. I have absolutely no idea about any of it, except that I think it's supposed to be some kind of like a secret society. And I have heard that most law enforcement officers in this area are Freemasons. And so I don't know how that all goes. Somebody kind of broke it down for me a little bit today, but it's all really kind of scary, to be honest with you. It's really scary because you don't know who they are, and you don't know, you just don't know. It's scary. It scares me anyway. Cece, I think I agree with you, Elizabeth. No trial. We'll have to wait and see. That's what I think these status conferences are for. I think that they are doing a whole lot of negotiating. If they do a plea, what will they say the judge did to cause Mickey to do what he did? They won't have to say anything. They don't, in a trial, number one, they don't have to prove motive. Motive is not it's not something that has to be proven at trial. We already see the video. We know that he did it. So, the only thing that is really kind of up in the air, and that could be up in the air, is if he would be acquitted, jury nullification, or if he would be found guilty. Now, I know that they have charged him with red rum, right? His defense attorney at that one hearing was trying his best to get like manslaughter or one of those lesser charges. And the judge wasn't having it. He sent it on upstairs to the grand jury. So I'm not really sure how that works. I don't know if they are allowed to put both of those charges on there and see if the jury would maybe acquit on the higher one and find him guilty on the lower one. I don't know how that works. I wish we had an attorney to ask those questions. So whenever we go either talk to Vinny or talk to the other lawyer that was on the STS, we'll ask them. Isn't it fast to be deciding on a plea deal on a red rum? Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is, but I bet you they're already talking. I guarantee you they've already been talking about it. That's the thing. If he pleads out, mitigating factors probably won't be discussed. That's exactly right. They don't have to discuss anything. He can get up there and plead guilty, and they don't have to disclose anything. He could plead guilty, get 15, 20 years, and not say a word, and neither would the prosecutor. And we would every single one of us would just be, stuck wondering. Put a 1 if you watch Surviving the Survivor and subbed up. Thank you, Mama Duck. Put a 1 in the chat. Catching you on STS is how I found your channel. Happy to be here with you. Well, welcome to our channel. Thank you for being here. We are having such a blast with this channel. Anyone else getting feedback when Elizabeth is talking? Uh-oh. Sorry, honey. All right, let me get down here to some more. We get so many comments on here. I stay too far up at the top, and then I don't get down where we're at. Billy says, why is none talking about the sheriff before Stines? Ma'am, can you explain why the last sheriff was? I'm misunderstanding your comment, honey. I'm sorry. Missing and believed to be. You'll have to put that in there without so many typos, honey. I'm sorry. My husband, who passed away, was a Kentucky State Trooper. He was a Mason. I'm sorry, honey. You know, that's a good, thank you for saying that, Izzy Girl 361, because we do have some good police officers. You know, we do have good officers. We do have some good attorneys. We do. And I've been thinking about that, and I know we kind of give them, several of them, a hard time on our show. So I thought maybe we would do a spotlight, a positive spotlight on an officer from around here. Not tonight, but I'm going to put together some interviews and some videos, and we're going to do a spotlight, a good spotlight on a police officer from this area, just so we can kind of balance the playing field some, y'all. Ninja 65, I have thought from the beginning it was a bad situation, a threat bad enough to cause his extreme reaction, that the judge was involved in illegal activities. I think there's a whole lot of people involved in illegal activities, to be honest with you. And that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of this case pleading out. Because if it happens, there's no investigating nothing else. The powers that be will continue in their current positions. The same old corruption that has plagued southeastern Kentucky for the last 100 years probably will continue to go on, and nothing will be done. If this case, please, you mark my words, that'll happen. I delights. That really must be a surprise to see the two people that you know arrested. Well, Mickey is. Oh, you mean the man, the boy and the woman. Well, you know, we have, rugs are just such a bad plague in this area, and it's generational. You know, kids don't have a chance. Little kids do not have a chance when their guardians and the people that are supposed to protect and love them are on this craziness, because that, like I said, this stuff that they're doing, this math, whatever it's got in it, it is very, very dangerous. I mean, I've seen it just too many times. People will try this stuff 1 or 2 times and that's it. But then the next time you see them, they can't put a sentence together. Their eyes, they look different out of their eyes. It's like their forehead, even their eyes even sit different in their head. It's unbelievable how this stuff changes people. I had a friend who was one of the most beautiful women I had ever laid my eyes on. She was gorgeous. same way. Got pulled into the opioid crisis. Whenever the opioids went away, nobody could get them anymore unless you were going to pay $500 a pop. You know, I mean, it was just unbelievable how people transitioned from opioids to this math. And I told you last night, it's supply and demand. If you have a whole population of people who are seeking pain relief or whatever they're seeking, some type of relief or escape, mental, emotional escape, this stuff just ravages their brain. And it's so sad because, you know, we're doing it to ourselves, you know. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on that. It's just very, very sad because children who are, you know, kids don't pick who their parents are. They can't choose whose home or environment they're going to be in. They're at their parents' mercy, every single one of them. And if we don't do what's right for them, they don't have a chance. The prosecution are not advocates for victims from a legal perspective. They sure are not around here. We have seen already with the Patrick Little case, the Meade fireman case. I mean, we could just go right down the list of how many SMECS offense cases the prosecutors, our prosecutors in Letcher County, act more like their defense attorneys than their own defense attorneys do, which is a damn shame. Forgive me. Mickey sounds like a very likable guy. I love your accent. Well, thank you, honey. Most cases do get plea bargained and don't get to trial. I've got 4 lawyers in my family, and they've said the less than 5% go to trial. Yep. And that's a double-edged sword. So you've got people who are maybe innocent of a charge, but they'll take a plea bargain because the risk of going to trial might be too great. They might be facing 20 years if they go to trial at the max, and that's what's scary. You know, you don't want to risk going to trial and be found guilty of something that you didn't do and get 20 years when they're offering you 5 and you'll be out. And then there's usually they'll let you have probation. So I can understand that. But in the same sense, that's how a lot of people also get screwed. They'll take that plea bargain, and if they would have just took it to trial, they probably would have been found not guilty. You know, the prosecutor has to prove your guilt. So that means they have to have evidence, or at least they're supposed to, right? They have to have evidence to prove you guilty. Well, a lot of times they don't have the evidence to prove you guilty. But if they can bluff you and make you think that you're going to go way down, they can get that plea bargain. That's still a notch on their belt. They still get a conviction on that plea. So, and that's what a lot of it is. It's their record. It's their ego. How many cases have they won? Against how many cases have they lost? That's all that it is to them. Like, they're not going to get emotionally and mentally invested in these cases. They're desensitized to the criminal justice system. Most of them are. They're in it every day. So, they don't see, to them, somebody going to jail and spending the night in jail or 30 days in jail or however long the sentence is. To them, they don't care. That ain't nothing to them. We saw a ton of really, really bad behavior and misconduct, ethical violations in that big rapper trial down in Georgia. It was unreal. And the conditions of the jail, the Rice Street jail that they showed, one of the men died of bedbug bites. Bed bugs and lice ate him alive within 3 months in that jail. Now that's bad. I'm sure they are already talking because of who Mickey is and more so what he knows. Yep. Oh, wow. Look at all them ones. They're going to guarantee seal the records. It's a good point. Good point. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Look at all them ones. Man, I'm so thankful to you guys. It all depends on how the state charges it. Well, they can absolutely charge him with M and then have the lesser included. Well, they've already charged him with the red rum of a public official, I think is exactly what it was called. I don't know if that, I think it equals first degree red rum, I think is what I heard somebody say. Attorneys should look that up and you will have one 24/7. Let's see. I'm not familiar with Kentucky law. An Alford plea would be very interesting. That's a no contest plea. So what that means is they're not pleading guilty and they're not pleading not guilty. What they're saying is that they are conceding that the prosecutor has enough evidence that they would probably be convicted at trial. So that's what the no contest is. That's an Alford plea. No clue if that's available in Kentucky or not. Yes, a no contest plea is. That's what Ned Pillersdorf was saying the other night in his interview on STS. He said that that's why they were so adamant about getting Ben Fields in his plea bargain to plead guilty. They did not want a no contest plea. They wanted the guilty plea. But you know why? Because if it was a no contest plea, then that would make that civil suit a whole lot harder. But as long as he pled guilty to those charges, they all making bank off that. Even Ned. Oh, yeah, they don't do it for free. Thank you. I randomly came across your channel last night when y'all were live. Good. Thank you for coming. I feel sorry for those good officers too. Yeah. Why was Kevin Mullins not mentioned in the suit? Good question. Answer is, hey Siri, can you sue a Kentucky elected judge? Oh, my Siri came on. And then answer is no. Mickey was taking the hit. Kevin was protected by immunity. Well, that's a good comment. And it is a good question. Now, my question on that is, you had the actual chambers where these women, or where at least one of them was abused. Those were Kevin Mullins's chambers. Ned said that, Alan, let her in, please. Ned said that they did not have enough to add him into the suit in good faith. They didn't have enough evidence or whatever to say that he knew what was happening. But you've got this courthouse, you've got it in his chambers, being done in his chambers. You've got a whole lot of rumors about it. But why wasn't there an investigation done? The judge has been run through the muck. He's been dragged through the mud like crazy, and there's still not one piece of evidence that has come out to say, yes, this judge was actually guilty or involved in this or whatever. There's nothing that has come out other than rumor, innuendo, stuff like that, speculation. It's always somebody heard somebody else that this happened to somebody else, but nobody has come out and said, he did this to me. That's a big difference. Those things really do matter. Now, I'm not taking up for neither one of them. I'm just saying, there are some things that really do matter. Alan, no, you didn't. All right. Yeah, no, let her in. Kids. I love good cops. Yes. I agree. If there is a plea, they will probably seal the records. Yep. If you go to the parties, you'll see who all is doing unlawful things. That's right, Angel Fire. That's right. That's why I stay home. I'm a ball mom. That's all I ever do is go to ball games. And other than that, I keep my honey in at home. I have law enforcement in my family and some close friends who are law enforcement. They're all just amazing people. Well, that's wonderful. I've heard so many times from one or another of them that no one hates a bad cop more than a good cop. Well, that's really nice. Good officers are needed. Our communities desperately need good community policing officers that know the people in their community and don't abuse them. Don't ignore them. A lot of good community policing officers know everybody in their area. I know we kind of, maybe we make things bigger in our minds than actual reality. But, in my mind, I have them helping little old ladies with their groceries and stuff like that. I don't know. Don't think it will go to trial either. They are going to protect all they can. A trial would even have a bearing on the civil cases of that poor women that were abused. Yes. And I heard that the civil case was on hold right now while the criminal case is making its way through the court system. If there was wrongdoing on the judge side as well, then I can see his family wanting him to take a plea. Maybe after that the records would be sealed and not destroy their name. Yeah. Let's see. It says, I was watching a your age that said her dad was sheriff before Mickey Stines that was found in Holler that said it was in county. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I think what you're talking about is Danny Webb. Danny Webb was the sheriff before Mickey Stines, and there was a fella that was red rummed several years ago, and his daughter has gotten on TikTok, if that's who you're talking about, Jackie Blair, and his daughter's name is Ashley Blair, and she is all over TikTok. She has a big TikTok following, and she has told the story of her father. There have been accusations and whispers that Danny Webb was actually allegedly involved in that red rum itself. At the same time, he was also the lead investigator on that case, if that tells you anything. We know somebody actually sent me the exact pin on my Maps app for where they found his car. And so I'm going to take a ride out there one of these days after the snow melts, and we will get some video of where exactly her daddy's car was found. So we'll be able to look at that case a little bit too. It was a long time ago, but we can always just look at it. Yeah, dogs are barking. No matter what they do to Mickey, his family and extended family will be affected by his actions. The income for his wife and daughter is gone. He was their support. Well, she has a really good job. Her mom, the wife, does. So they'll be okay financially. They're not ruined. And the daughter's she works too. And she's just about out of high school. They'll be all right. They got a lot of support, and they're strong women. They'll be okay. I mean, I hate it for them, but they'll be okay. Let's see, Billy was campaigning for sheriff before this happened. Mickey was in the process of getting out early because the heat from the suit. I spoke to Mickey probably a month or two before this happened. I had to go down there to the sheriff's department for something. I don't even remember what it was. And first thing he said to me was he was done. He said, "I'm not running again." He said, "I can't wait to get out of here." Like, he was just, and he didn't tell me why or didn't give me any insight into anything. He just said he was done. And he looked defeated. He looked disgusted with whatever he was thinking about when he was saying it to me. You could just see it in his eyes and in his facial expression. He was just done. And I heard several other people say that too. He seemed very disillusioned with the office. My son uses math and the F word. He's a great kid, but lately he has become unrealistic. He makes it impossible to show tough love. I'm so sorry. Recently OD'd at a hotel somehow. He walked outside and let's see, I lost it. Please pray for my son. He's a good kid, but I'm afraid the math has altered his thinking. It does. I'm so sorry. He makes it impossible to show tough love. Well, honey, we are sure here. So you've got a big support system with us. And we will all pray for your baby. I'm sorry. Lee T, that's a sad thing too if you're innocent and are so afraid that you plead. Yeah. And, then what about the other side of that coin? What if it's when somebody's guilty? Guilty as sin. And the prosecutors offer them a really good plea, deal of a lifetime. And then they take that plea guilty, but then as soon as they leave the courtroom, they go around and they tell everybody how innocent they were and how they were made to take a plea. But yet they had evidence that they were guilty, or they wouldn't have pled to a charge, right? I mean, I don't know. I have I go back and forth on this kind of stuff. Back and forth. Let's see. There are so many variables when it comes to discussing this topic. That's exactly right. No two cases are the same. They're all different. The circumstances are different. The factors are different. The options and outcomes are different. Hillbilly, I'm here. I caught you on STS with Joe, and you were a boss lady on there. Great show. Thank you, Georgia Culture. I had a great time. We're going to go back, too, as soon as they offer it. We'll definitely go back. Yes. Plea bargains are pushed to save the public's tax dollars that are spent on trials. Well, that is true. That was so sad, heartbreaking, that man who died. Awful. Yeah. All you need is one juror that has questions. Thank you, Miss Jessica Jackson. That's exactly right. That's all you need. Don't think I've heard what caliber pew was used. Are you talking about the wrong house search warrant, or are you talking about Mickey? Wasn't Danny Webb the sheriff before Stines? Yep. Free Mickey Stines. Do you think there's enough corruption in the area that the feds might start snooping around that county? No, I sure don't. Because I don't trust the feds in the exact same way I don't trust these down here. Why do I say that? Because the feds were the ones who investigated Scott Blair, the Commonwealth attorney 30 miles down the road that was apparently getting, having his rug dealers bring him stuff that he was doing himself. So he became a rug addict himself. And then he was R-wording men who he was prosecuting. That case gets me all into a tizzy. The only thing that they charged that man with, didn't charge him with the R word, didn't charge him with messing with documents, and stuff like that. The only thing they charged him with was theft of honest services fraud, because they said that he robbed the citizens of Perry County out of his honest services. But yet he was coercing, threatening, bribing. I mean, he was doing it all to people that he was prosecuting. He would make them bring him rugs so he could get high as a cat. Now we see how a lot of people in our community is on this math that changes their way of thinking and changes their brain and just destroys their brain. Imagine a Commonwealth attorney on this stuff. And apparently he was there, 5 years before or probably longer than that. And even after he got caught and he took his little plea and he got up in front of a judge and had to plea, He had like 150 letters from people that went to his church that wrote letters on his behalf. People came out of the woodwork to support this man after what he did. Now, I believe in forgiveness, but to me, that's going a little bit too far. Sending prayers your way also for your son and family, honey. Absolutely. I worked for a county attorney in small town Kentucky, and we did many plea deals instead of going to trial. Made the county attorney look good and way less work. Well, if any of you all watched that video that I have on the channel about Matt Butler, Matt Butler came out with, I think the title of it's Matt Butler pats himself on the back or something like that. You go in and look. And Matt came out and did a video where he said that no more defendants, criminals were not going to, what did he say? It was kind of like they're not going to shake down the prosecutor's office no more. He was going to start taking these cases to trial. He wasn't going to let them strong arm the prosecutor's office anymore with plea bargains. Are you joking? Y'all, if you haven't seen that video, you ought to go watch it. Matt Butler pats himself on the back. And remember, he was the brother-in-law to the judge. Social incest is what the doctor called it. And I loved that term. I'm going to start using it. I'm going to steal it. Social incest is big around here in Kentucky. All right. So let me go over here to this other one and let you all see, or we want to watch this and just see. I don't know if this is the one that's got him in it, or it might be the other one. We'll watch it anyway. It's just a couple minutes.
After police say he was shot several times by the sheriff. We now know that Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Stines was taken to the Leslie County Detention Center where he is charged with murder. Here is his mugshot that was taken after he was booked into the detention center. WIG's Amelia Lee is in Letcher County tonight with more on what comes next in the legal process.
One judge is dead and one sheriff has been taken into custody. Those in Letcher County say they're shocked by what's happened here, but they are assured that members of the legal process have already started working on this case.
At this point in time, it'll go forward like any criminal prosecution that we have in the state.
Commonwealth's attorney Jackie Steele will be working this case with the Attorney General Russell Coleman. This comes after Commonwealth's attorney for Letcher County, Matt Butler, and his office stepped aside and asked for a special prosecutor.
In this case, I'm sure Matt knew both sides very well. So it can give, you can't make anybody happy. You're too hard on them, you're too soft on them. So there's an appearance of impropriety that deteriorates the criminal justice system.
With cases of this size, Steele
That's
says
Jackie
the timeline
Steele.
is dependent upon things being sent to the labs and evidence being processed.
It's about a year is going to be a quick process turnaround on a murder case. It's typically more around 18 months, to be honest with you.
If the charges of murder remain against Stines, he could face 20 to 50 years or life in prison. But due process is still going to happen while law enforcement officers try to determine what led up to the shooting.
KSB is working today, gathering, collecting, processing evidence, getting things in the lab. So it's still an ongoing investigation.
In terms of next steps, Steele says evidence will continue to be collected and processed.
There will be a full hearing, preliminary hearing, then there's going to be a full hearing at the grand jury of all the evidence collected, and we'll see where it goes from there.
We are told that an arraignment has been scheduled for Stines to happen on Wednesday at 11 in the morning in Carter County. And they say there will be a preliminary hearing happening sometime after that. In Letcher County, Amelia Lee, WYMT, Mountain News.
We do know that Sheriff Stines was previously a defendant in a case 2 years ago. It started 2 years ago regarding one of his sheriff's deputies and sexual exploitation. It was said to have taken place in a judge's chambers. We were told that Stines was expected to testify in a deposition on Monday regarding this.
Okay. And it just to remind everybody, I don't know if any of y'all know, but that was kind of a miscommunication when this first happened. The day that it happened, I heard for a couple days after that too, that Mickey was supposed to testify or was supposed to go in this deposition the following Monday. So, and it was all over the news too. Everybody had the wrong information. They all thought that deposition was coming up the following Monday, but it wasn't. It had happened the prior Monday. So the deposition had already taken place. And that was just a little piece of information that had gotten wrong, that was wrong when this first happened. And then we've got another one. So that was Jackie Steele. That's the prosecutor in this case that's prosecuting Mickey. And if you listen to him, he just doesn't sound like he's all gung-ho to prosecute this case. He sounds to me like he knows these people. I don't think that he is strangers. I just don't think he's a stranger to these players here. I think they all know each other. Remember, the court system, the legal community is a very, very small circle of people. Even in the entire state, there's still a very small circle of people. So they've had interactions with each other, from here, especially if they've been in law for a long time. But I would say that they know each other. Public servants are protected here. In Chicago, the city, the county pays if they sued, which is so awful because they don't care. Why would they? They aren't held accountable. That happens a lot. The city is responsible for paying out for bad cops, and not just bad cops, bad employees. If they do something that, somebody can sue. What is it? Qualified immunity and good faith. Like, that's the big thing in Kentucky, and it's a Commonwealth. I don't know how that exactly plays in, but I know that Commonwealth states are kind of different than states that are not Commonwealth. I know Kentucky is a Commonwealth, and Virginia is also a Commonwealth state. And that kind of, I don't know, I wish we had a lawyer. There was one woman in a deposition and stated he did. Stated he did. I guess I lost that. I don't know what question you were answering. Sorry, honey. Now look, Pirate Commander. Well, good evening. Greetings from Scotland. Yes, it's 3:37 here, and I'm doing laundry. Well, good for you. Welcome. Glad you're here. Nice to see you here. Absolutely. Tiffany, exactly. The lake parties in Mars. We found out the other night that my mommy has been to some of them lake parties, some of them skinny dipping parties up on the mountain. I wonder who she got a big eye for. Let's grow this channel. Please hit the like and subscribe. Yes, if you subscribe, it's free. You don't have to pay anything if you just subscribe to the channel. It just kind of follows us. So if you subscribe, it doesn't cost you anything. Okay, I think I wanted to say that because some people might think that it costs money, and it doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and it doesn't cost anything to hit that like button. So hit it for us, please. Hey, Hillbilly Crime, found your channel through Gavin Fish. Well, welcome to the channel, Sapphire Ridge News. Glad you are here. Let's find the missing money. Storage units. Yeah, so that's the big whisper that was coming out of the Leslie County Jail. Apparently, allegedly, some, I've said this before. Once you go into jail, you've got to adapt. Once you go into jail, you have to learn a whole new way of living. And you're going to look out for, and you have to talk to people. You have to find an ally or a friend somewhere. And the bars talk. They talk. And apparently the word is coming out of the Leslie County Jail that the corruption is all about money in Letcher County. This is all over money. And that apparently there's a whole lot of people involved, which doesn't surprise me. And there's supposed to be a bunch of money hidden all over the place in storage units. That's something exciting. I'd like to find the end of that rainbow. Be like a what do you call it? One of them hunts. Scavenger hunt. We could have a big scavenger hunt. Y'all, did you all do the rocks? We had Letcher County rocks, so people were painting rocks and then hiding them all over the county, and then they'd get on Facebook and leave like a clue, and then people could go try and find the painted rock by the clue. We'll have people digging into all kinds of storage units. Look for some that are for sale. Letcher County, born and raised, Gritty Gret. I love that name. I doubt we will ever learn the truth about all the corruption. I don't think so either. Sadly. I think they are putting pressure on Mickey to take a plea because they want to keep all their corruption covered up. I think so too. Look here. Those parties were fun. Listen, there've been a lot of people at them parties. Just talking to the right one that'll talk is the finding somebody ain't too scared to talk about them. Just stop to say hello. This is Sean from the school. Hi. I'm so glad you're here, honey. We had ball game tonight, and there's a couple people didn't even know about our channel, so I had to let them know. How many good officers have arrested or stopped a bad officer? Just saying. Well, that was kind of my point the other night. Yes, we do have some good police officers, but what happens when a good police officer is around a bad one and they see the bad one do something bad? Do you think they call them out? Do you think they say anything to him? Do you think they even tell their supervisor? I've not seen a good one that's dared to say anything to a bad one. Not one time, ever. Just saying. She sure does. I've been lurking for a couple of months and finally got the budget to join. Good. I'm glad. And several people have asked me about gift memberships. So pay attention. If you see somebody gift some memberships, go to the home page and you should have a join button. It'll say join. You can click that button, and if you click it, YouTube's the one that kind of gives out the memberships. So it's just kind of random. So if you hit the join button and they give you one, it'll let you know. It'll tell you. And you can probably refresh it and try it again. I don't know if that helps or not, but and then if you don't get one, then just keep watching, because as soon as you see somebody else gift some memberships, try it again. And eventually you'll get one. And the memberships, the way that they do the gifts, it will go through the end of the month. It'll give you a 1 month membership. And then maybe by the next month you can get it yourself. But that's how the gift memberships work. So pay attention if you see somebody gift some. A judge's misconduct must be reported to the Kentucky Bar Association. Well, you'd think so, cat scratch fever. It consists of members who oversee complaints and recommend sanctions. I researched it as far back as 2020. No complaints made. And a lot of times people don't know how to make a complaint. And a lot of times people just don't think it would do any good. I have been guilty of that. I'm bad for that. I don't want to cause trouble. I don't want to get nobody in trouble, so I might, look there, somebody just gifted some memberships. So you all go try. Thank you, Georgia Culture. I knew that was you as soon as I saw your pretty face. There we go. Oh, she became a YouTube member. Was that you? Or maybe it was somebody. Georgia Culture became a YouTube member. Let me get down here and see. And, yep, Georgia Culture. Yes, gifted 5 Hillbilly Crime memberships. Thank you. Mel Steinmetz became a YouTube member. Awesome. And Alan took off with my phone. Of course he did. I was going to give a shout out, but he took off with my phone. So if I get it back, I'll shout out my MVPs. We've got some MVPs too. Start with Governor Beshear, Tim Robinson, Michael Clark. There's a few to start with. Listen. So let me fill you in on the preacher. So the preacher man, Michael Clark, he came out. He was the go-to for the ARC rehab. He was ARC's employee that was kind of stationary at the Letcher County courthouse all day, every day. Sat in the smoke room. I don't even know what they did, but he is the one who came out, if any of you saw it, and gave a video on the Pew Pew. And he said that both of Mickey and the judge were his 2 very best friends, and, went on and on and on, and shaming people about talking about it, and said that that the judges, or the Mickey's wife and daughter, had said that it wasn't true, that the judge had not done anything to her. And he shamed everybody for talking about it. And then he ended up having to delete his video because there was so much backlash that came his direction after that, accusing him of being a not so great guy and doing a lot of corrupt things himself. There were many people that accused him of allegedly messing with girls in rehab too. Well, I heard that he had taken a better job, but then somebody said it wasn't, he didn't take a better job with another rehab. He's still with ARC. They just moved him away from Letcher County, or at least from the Letcher County courthouse. And he had to step down. I think he was forced to step down from his church as well, because there were some things that came out at the church that were not so in his favor or positive. But that is allegedly what is happening with the preacher man. So he kind of pulled himself into it, I think, by putting that video out and trying to shame people. And it kind of like made the whole thing about himself. He was saying how he was just there and how he, thank God that he was still alive and all that. Like, some people just want a microphone and they're really, really good. Or they would have been a really great used car salesman. And you got to be careful with people like that can talk an Eskimo into buying an igloo. I wouldn't want to be involved in this case. I wouldn't either. Oops. Okay. I don't follow. Oof. Sheesh. Let's everybody be nice. We don't have to be mean to each other. They could cast lots for out-of-state AGs to be sworn in. Well, Yes, I agree. They at least know of each other, if not have worked directly with each other. Yeah. All right, let me go over here to this other one. I've got another one here that we want to listen to. This one. Okay, so this is going to be of his very first hearing. Okay. This is the Zoom hearing where we're going to look at the way that Mickey talks. Remember, we just watched the one interview of him talking about his deputies taking in all of those, all of that math. So let's watch this and see if we can see any differences from that interview to the way that he is in this video. I hate these advertisements. Sorry, y'all. Give me just a second. I'll keep the volume off till it. Ooh, well, that wasn't what I was trying to do. Well, it still did it.
The case of Commonwealth versus Sean Stines, 24F 147, Letcher District Court. Is the Commonwealth present?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Judge Ramsey Dallum on behalf of the Commonwealth.
And Jackie Steele also on behalf of Commonwealth, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And I see the defendant, is that the defendant at the Leslie County Detention Center?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who is standing next to him?
I'm Josh Miller, Public Defender of the Capital Trials Branch.
Dana Clark, Jailer, Leslie County.
All right, thank you. And has the defendant filed a petition for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
Okay. And what about the Commonwealth? Does Commonwealth want to make any statements before I proceed with arraignment?
No, Your Honor.
Other than I don't know why Mr. Miller is present if he's not filed out an agency paperwork.
I'm gonna stop at real quick and point out something. I didn't notice this in the first time that we watched this, just because I didn't know the players back then. So the guy in the red t-shirt that is standing right next to Mickey, that is the Leslie County jailer himself. So I would just about bet that that's Mickey's best friend now. I just about guarantee it. They both kind of seem like big old country boys.
His office has not been appointed. I don't know that he has any reason to be here as in an official capacity as an attorney.
Right. Mr. Miller, do you believe that he's entitled to a public defender at this time?
I do, Your Honor.
And why is that?
This is a capital eligible case, and I believe that the cost of defending ethical defense of a capital eligible case will exceed his means.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Steele?
I would, Your Honor. A couple of things. One, I believe what he's telling me is that he's been out soliciting a client, which is obviously not allowed under our ethical obligations as attorneys. Two, even if he hasn't, if he has and he's been out trying to discern how much his financial capacities are, he's wasting state resources without an appointment. And this court is the party that appoints an attorney, not DPA, whatever division, just because they think he's going to need one.
So that was something that happened in this hearing. This public defender was not assigned to Mickey. Public defenders have to be assigned to a defendant. He was not assigned a public defender. And because of his income, and I'd say it probably would include his wife's income. I know they didn't ask it in this court hearing, but I would say that is probably where they're married and they both had a really high income. I would say that would have to be combined. But the judge didn't ask about his wife, but he does ask about Mickey's. And this is where he says his property's only worth $45,000. And I just think that's a big untruth. But could be, but I just don't. I know what property value is, and there's just no way making that much money. There's just no way.
Would you like to respond to that, Mr. Miller?
Your Honor, in cases like this, it is essential that a defense investigation start immediately, and I haven't solicited anything, but advised Mr. Stines of his rights. And if the court appoints us, we will represent him.
Is he still the sheriff of Leslie County?
At this point, I believe so. Letcher County.
Letcher County, I'm sorry.
Judge, I can't speak to that, and he currently is still the sheriff of Letcher County.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would qualify as an indigent defendant.
Well, sir, we're happy to, or Mr. Stines is happy to put any paperwork, file anything that would help the court make that determination. Obviously, the court is the one that appoints us.
Has he filed an affidavit for indigency?
Not at this point, Your Honor.
All right, we'll proceed with formal arraignment. Are you Sean Stines?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't be used against you. Have your silence can't be used to find you guilty. County attorney must prove your guilt, or the Commonwealth must prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to call witnesses on your behalf. You have the right to cross-examine witnesses called against you. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by a jury of your peers. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, I'll appoint one to represent you. And you have the right to appeal any decision that I make. You're charged with murder, a capital offense here in Kentucky, a Class A felony. punishable by 20 to 50 years in prison, 25 years to life in prison, 25 years to life without the possibility of parole, and the possibility of the death penalty. Do you have an attorney, Mr. Stines?
I have not hired one.
Have you tried to hire an attorney? Have you spoken to any attorneys about taking your case?
No, no, sir.
And are you telling me that you don't have the means to, do you not have the means? Do you own a home?
Yes,
Do you own any other real estate?
got a place in Tennessee, but I still owe for it with the bank.
Yes, but you know how much equity?
You guys notice something? Something just dawned on me. You notice that all that crazy talk is gone? This is the very next day after the body cam and the dash cam footage that we just saw, like last night or whenever we played it. This is the very next morning. None of that talk that he was talking about, like carbon monoxide and what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? This ain't the jail and all that stuff. All that crazy talk is gone. Y'all notice that? He's not acting the same way he was the day before, right after that happened.
Do you have in your own home?
My home and my property is paid for.
And do you have an
Making
estimated
sense.
value of that real property?
I think the PBA's got it on for about 45,000.
And what's your income?
It's based on statute. I think this year it was going to be 115,000.
Do you have monthly savings, bank account?
I had a check-in.
He had a checking, no savings. Are you kidding me? No savings, only a checking account? I mean, I'm just saying, when you got that much money coming in, you don't need to separate it. I do. I keep my bill money and stuff in one account. You wouldn't do that? Maybe not everybody does that, but.
Sir, it's my understanding that he's in the process of losing his job as a sheriff of Letcher County, obviously, and will not have income going forward. His family is not prepared for this eventuality. And again, I think the cost of defending one of these cases can reach well into this several $100,000.
You're entitled to, since you're charged with a felony, you're entitled to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days from the date of this arraignment. Do you believe you'll be able to obtain counsel to represent you on these charges within those 10 days?
I hope so. It's kind of hard, for a man to have contact with people I need to.
See, he's fine. He's
Okay,
fine.
that it is going to take a considerable amount of money to retain an attorney to represent you on this capital offense. However, I don't believe you do at this time qualify as for public assistance due to the fact that you aren't indigent. However, based on the circumstances of this case and the fact that we do need to have a preliminary hearing within 10 days, I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you for the limited purpose of assisting you at your preliminary hearing. If and when this case does proceed to circuit court, the circuit court may require you to hire your own counsel. Do you understand that, Mr. Stines?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll enter does he want to enter a plea at this time?
Your Honor, he would enter a plea of not guilty and request a date for preliminary hearing.
All right.
They
We'll
like
set the
that.
preliminary hearing next Tuesday, October the 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky.
Excuse me, Your Honor, we said October 1st at 1 o'clock.
Yes, October 1st at 1 o'clock in West Liberty, Kentucky at the Morgan County Judicial Center.
Thank you.
See, I think Mickey's standing there like, man, here I am. Man, I'm telling you, I just cannot imagine the next day when he woke up that next morning and he woke up in jail. And he woke up on one of them little tiny thin flat mats. Man, look at him right there. Got his head down. I mean, gosh almighty. Could you imagine? I just can't imagine. All right. So somebody one of our viewers here sent me this. Thank you so much. Who was it that sent it to me? Let me go look because I don't want to mess that up. Miss Tracy. Tracy sent it to me. All right. So let's watch this. This is the update for the wrong address search warrant. So let's see what it is.
Ben, we'll see you then, and we thank you. Kentucky State Police say that Douglas Harless was shot and killed by a London police officer on the night of December 23rd. It has now been 3 weeks, and police have remained tight-lipped about the shooting.
Well, tonight, WKYT Samantha Valentino is using newly obtained records to break down the timeline of events leading up to that deadly shot.
Court records show London police were at Douglas Harless's home to serve a search warrant connected to stolen lawn equipment belonging to Laurel County Judge Executive David Westerfield. This police report says London police were called to the property just before 9:30 a.m. on December 23rd, the day Harless was killed. According to the report, the caller was Westerfield's nephew, Charles Hensley, and he told police equipment belonging to himself and his uncle had gone missing. Hobart Buttry was arrested in connection to the theft at 7:34 p.m., according to his arrest citation. Now, a dispatch report from that night explains minute by minute what happened. The run started at 11:26 p.m., labeled as serving a warrant. That's when 7 officers are dispatched and later shown en route to 489 Van Zant Road. Using documents obtained through open records requests, we've identified them as these 7 officers. They arrive at 11:48. Surveillance video from a neighbor shows officers making several attempts to knock on Harless's door and announcing themselves before what sounds like 5 gunshots. From the dispatch report, we know an officer told dispatch shots were fired at 11:51. That's when EMS is dispatched to the scene. At 11:52, Chief Jerry Holland is dispatched to the scene. KSP is shown en route 1 minute later. At 11:57, an officer says crews are rendering aid. Just 2 minutes later, another officer notifies dispatch a tourniquet has been applied. Around this time, Officer Cody Arnold is shown arriving at the scene. He's never listed as being dispatched or en route. Several units from the Laurel County Sheriff's Office and EMS units are dispatched and arrive in the meantime. Chief Holland arrives at 12:08 a.m. Assistant Chief Bobby Day shows up 17 minutes later. At 12:55, Officer Josh Morgan is shown arriving at the scene. He's never listed as being dispatched or en route. Seconds later, Officer Morgan and Chief Holland's status is shown as 10:12, which means officials or visitors are present. Less than a minute later, they're both shown heading to police headquarters. Chief Holland and Assistant Chief Day arrive at 1:36 a.m. KSP arrives at 4:22 a.m. and Officer Morgan is shown arriving just seconds behind them. The first 7 officers at the scene also arrive in the moments after. Kentucky State Police are investigating the shooting as is standard practice for shootings involving law enforcement. They have not released the name of the officer who fired the shot that killed Harless.
Samantha, thank you. And again, WKYT is still working to obtain a copy of the warrant police were serving that night, as questions have been raised about whether police were at the wrong home. We've been covering this case closely since it happened. You can scan the QR code that you see there on your screen now to download our free WKYT News app. You can use it to find our full coverage of this story.
All right. So I think that was it. I think that's all my stuff. So that, they also have never said the first word about that officer in the back on the hill who slips and falls and pew-pews up in the air. They've not said a word about that one. I feel like I'm the only one that's noticed it. Nobody else has said a word. All right, guys. We have been on here an hour and a half. Let's see. Yeah, it's just all so sad. If you got a gifted membership, please tell, let's see, tell Georgia Culture thank you. Reach out to her and tell her thanks. And thank you so much, Georgia Culture, for doing that. I sure appreciate you. And I appreciate every single one of you all that come to our shows and make our chat so lively and interesting. And you guys are making this channel a family. So I'm very, very grateful to all of you. All right. We'll be back tomorrow morning. We are going to stream the hearing as long as it's televised. And I'd say it will be. But where this is a status hearing, I'm wondering if they're going to make it public. But if it's streamed, we're going to have it tomorrow morning. We'll be streaming it. If not, we'll still have our show at 7 tomorrow, and we will have Sweet Tater here. All right, y'all. Well, you guys have a great rest of your evening. God bless you. We love you. And we will see you then, okay? Stay warm, stay blessed, and peace out, Girl Scout. All right.